right, welcome, Jen. We are going to get started. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Welcome to CNBC's At Work Summit. I'm your host, Shibani Joshi. Thank you so much for being with us. In this concurrent session, we are going to discuss strengthening connections to the customer amid forces of massive change. And we're going to discuss that with T-Mobile executive Jen Cambridge. Before we do that, we want to remind you that this is an active participating session. We want to hear your questions and we will be getting to them. Please enter your questions in the session chat to the right of your screen and we will get to as many of them as we can. And with that, let's kick things off with Jen Cambridge. Let me introduce her officially. She's a vice president of Frontline Systems and Experience at T-Mobile. She's a key leader behind T-Mobile's team of experts and strategy. She's cutting out the robots and transfers and connecting customers to the right person the very first time. I know something that we can all appreciate. With 2 decades of care experience under her belt, Jen will share her insights and wisdom, which is all about turning the traditional customer service paradigm, turning it over on its head. Jen, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
Let's kick things off. Why don't you walk us through what T-Mobile's model is for customer care and what you call a team of experts?
Yeah, I'd love to. We started the design of this concept that we call Team of Experts, or TEX, about 5 years ago now at this point. And 5 years ago, when I look back at that time, it was really risky for us to think about making a shift in customer service. We were already on top. We had won the J.D. Power Award more than any of our competitors had, but we knew that we wanted to do something that was different. Part of our strategy as a company is this uncarrier strategy, this notion that we go out and we identify and we break down and resolve pain points for our customers. And customer service, it just made sense that that was another area that we would go and we would kind of break down those pain points. So that's where this idea of Team of Experts was born from. Mm-hmm. And we really started asking ourselves, what is good customer service? Like, what are great experiences that we've had and what are terrible experiences that we've had? We asked our customers and we asked our frontline, tell us about what a great experience would be. And we started to design this idea of Team of Experts, and it's evolved pretty significantly over time from that first day 5 years ago when we started working on it. But essentially, Shibani, what it is it's a small team of dedicated experts. These experts are assigned, they work in one regional group, so they support customers that are in one city, and those customers are assigned to them. So what that means is every time one of our customers call, they're going to get to that same group of representatives. So no more kind of first in, first out. You just talk to the first person across the globe who's ready there to take your call. You're going to talk to the same group of people every single time that you call in. On top of that, we really thought about, what, in order to pull off great customer service, what do you need? And so we thought about this concept of the call center runaround, where every time you call in, you talk to a person and you just hope that that person is going to be the right person to resolve your issue.
Every person knows about that, yes.
Right. Every person. And oftentimes that's not the case. You tell your whole story just to be told, I'm so sorry. Let me transfer you to someone else who can help you. And you're like, why couldn't the first person help me? And so that's this idea of this call center runaround. And so there were a few things that we did to really break that down. First, we knew that we had to unleash from a tools, permissions perspective all of our experts. We had to train them on how to be successful. We gave every one of our expert employees, our frontline employees, an additional 3 weeks of training so that they would really understand how to be empowered and how to use these new tools that we gave them access to. And that the last element that I want to mention is just this kind of breakdown of how call centers are historically run. Yeah. In our environment before, in the past, if I look back 5 years, we had some call centers that were dedicated just to troubleshooting or just to technical issues. Yeah. Some call centers that were dedicated to retention, others that were dedicated to solving billing issues. And a lot of traditional call centers do that because it's easier to, train your people to be specialized in just that one particular area. Right. But what that does is, as a customer, the experience that you have is, you call, you talk to that first person, like we already discussed, who you hope can solve your issue, but they just transfer you to a nameless, faceless person. And you don't really know, as the representative, if that issue was ever resolved or if it went to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, your compensation, your metrics are based on how many seconds and how many calls have I taken, not on holistically the benefit or health or happiness of your customer base. And so we had to break that down, and we had to say, okay, as a team, we need to create a new structure for how people work together. And so we took all that expertise that was spread out all across the globe, and we said, how can we train this one team of people on everything that they need? So instead of a nameless, faceless transfer someplace, you've got one team of people who are working together to solve your issue, to learn from each other, and to celebrate when that really happens. And so that's at the core of what Team of Experts really is.
Well, that's so interesting and so different than what we hear of the typical customer care model, Jen. It's specialized, it's localized, and it really is customer focused. I know that investment is a big part of T-Mobile's strategy. So many companies right now, they're cost cutting. Maybe they're investing specifically in technology only. But T-Mobile is investing in people. Tell us why, and why specifically at this moment.
Yeah, for us, as we started down this path, it was kind of a no-brainer. I get requests from different companies every day who have like the product that they want to sell me, or new technology that they want to test with us. And success for all of those is you can cut your costs by deflecting the number of calls that you're taking. You can cut your costs by driving efficiency. And that's really the opposite direction. We felt like if we invested in our people, really empowered our people, gave them the right training, tools, and resources to be successful, we knew that we could get to the place that we were trying to get to from our bottom line. And so, yes, we're looking at different technology options as we look to the future, and we can talk about that as we go through our conversation today. But really, over the last few years, it's been about the people. It's been about looking at the ratios of our leaders to our frontline employees and breaking that down so that they can get true in the game coaching and guidance to help them be better at their jobs, to help them really be there and resolve our customers' issues. And the results have been really staggering for us. When we started Team of Experts, one of the things that we really broke down and looked at is how should we measure things? Like what should success look like in our environment? And we continue to ask ourselves 4 really critical questions at all times. 1, are our customers happy? 2, are they staying for longer? 3, are we deepening our relationship with them? And 4, are they able to do all of this with less effort? And that extends to effort from our frontline and effort on our customers' behalf. And through this lens, as we've looked at customer service, our results have been astounding. We've seen a 60% improvement in our NPS score. We've seen our churn go down 39% from where it was before. So that's customers. Yeah, NPS is customers are recommending us. That's our net promoter score. And churn is they're staying with us for a longer time than they were before. We're also looking at calls per account, and we've seen a 37% reduction in the number of calls that our customers are having to make to us. And that all goes to this idea or concept that if you have all the tools and training that you need so that you can truly resolve the customer's, issue or concern on that first call, the customer won't have to call back again. So we've seen astounding results there. And all of that has laddered into a 26% reduction in our cost to serve. And so we've seen a lot of really positive results there. There has been some additional investment on our half, though. So I mentioned the training before. There was a significant investment in training and in leadership, but we also have seen longer call times. So as we've really unleashed our frontline and empowered them to solve our customers' issues, we've seen those calls turn into longer interactions. But it's all worth it for all of the return that we see on all of the rest of the metrics that are out there.
Yeah, you make a good point, Jen. It's not just you're changing the metrics, but the metrics come with cost, obviously, and the ROI is something that you're reevaluating. And you're also reevaluating the importance of customer care as a strategic advantage. And before we dig into this, I just want to let our audience know that we want to hear from you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in. You can chat them in here in the chat box, and we'll bring you in throughout the conversation. So feel free to jump in here. But Jen, back to you.
Yeah.
The focus on customer care as a strategic advantage for T-Mobile.
We don't believe that customer service, it's not just a belief that it's a strategic advantage, but I think that we've really proven it with what we've done. We talked about the success in the metrics that we've seen. We've talked to hundreds of different companies that have reached out to us over the last, 2 years and have asked us, like, how did you do it? How did you make this happen? Yeah. And, I always think, people want to know, is there a technology package? Is there a solution that I can purchase that I can stand up to make this work in my environment? And, the simple answer is no, it's not. We have a belief, at T-Mobile to our core that our people are our very greatest asset. And great customer service has got to start with really great people. Mm-hmm. And our culture here is one of the things that we are the most proud of. I started working at T-Mobile 16 years ago. And that was, people had told me that the culture here was an absolutely, incredible experience. And it's never disappointed. It's always been a great decision. But that culture is what's made it possible for us to make moves like Team of Experts, for example, or like any of the other Un-carrier moves that we've been able to do. Right from the get-go, we were able to, as we created this kind of concept or this idea, we took it out to our frontline. We asked them to give us feedback, tell us what was good, what would work, what wouldn't work about it. They gave us a ton of feedback. They were part of all of the tests that we did. And I really think of our frontline as the architects behind this strategy and what we've done. And that gave us a lot of credibility as we went to our senior leadership team and we asked for an investment and we talked about, this concept and what we thought we could really build out of this. And it has not been a disappointment. It truly has put us into a space where we can start dreaming and thinking about, what else we can do as a company that our care can support. So it's been an incredible change.
And it's been a long time coming. I mean, you've been making this investment over the last couple of years. And so these results are coming over a longer time horizon. Jen, let's transition to the COVID crisis. How have you transitioned your customer care model in this environment? You have these call centers and lots of people, thousands of people within your organization crowded together that have to change how they're operating. What steps were taken within your customer care organization that you were able to take and you might continue to take and make as a long-standing change as you go forward?
Yeah, I love the question. And, I think us, like many of you that are out there today and companies, across the globe, when February came, we all started, kind of asking ourselves like, well, how big of a deal do we think this is going to be? And, what do we need to do to ensure that our employees
weeks, months, nobody had any idea for the time horizon.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in late February, we started talking about, okay, we've got to make sure that we've got a plan. And, we had closed entire call centers down before in the past for weather-related events or for other emergencies. And so we had processes and we had experience in doing that. But we had never been in a place where we started to ask ourselves, well, what if we have to close down all of our call centers? And we have really strong relationships with some of our global partners. And, there was a thought that, okay, we can rely on our global partners. But given everything that's happened with this pandemic, that wasn't an option either. And we had to start thinking about what if we have to close there as well? And so that kind of spun us into action. And we started thinking about what would it take to do this? Do we have the right hardware? Do we have the right infrastructure and technology so that we can really get people at home? We don't work in an environment where all of our folks have laptops that they could just take home. We have desktop PCs. And so we started to go through a process of identifying, testing and understanding what would it take for us to get all of our people home. And, during this time, Shibani, we went from a place just in a matter of weeks where we had been answering the phone within 90 seconds of our customers calling us. And in a few weeks, we went to a place where our hold times were almost 4 hours. And the conversations changed that we were having with our customers. Instead of calling to say, I'm looking to upgrade or help me troubleshoot this device, or I want to add a feature to my account, there was an urgency that was out there around how can I make sure that I keep my service on? And how can I set up, different payment arrangements to ensure that I'm able to do that? And, never more so has it been really clear to us how important this service is to keep our kids in school and learning, to keep us connected with doctors and loved ones as people started to social distance. And so that conversation changed, and our conversation inside of our walls changed, because we realized we need to do something, and we need to do it immediately to keep our employees safe. And so, I always remember March 11th. That was like a big date, across our company, as we worked together to really start this at home and start this like virtual, call center process. And so starting on March 11th, within 20 days, we were able to get 12,000 employees home. And we had to sanitize and box up 60,000 pieces of equipment. We had to create, processes so that people could drive up and we could just bring out and put the equipment in their car, so that they wouldn't have to come in and risk being in close contact with anyone else. We had to get them set up with VPN connections. We had to make sure that from a telephony and routing perspective, that they were able to actually take calls. We created training last minute so that people understood just even the basics of how to get home, how to get it set up, how to test your internet speeds to make sure that you had the right speeds to make it work. And, I'm so incredibly proud of the work that the team did, within just those first few weeks, to ensure that our employees could stay safe and that we could get our sites closed down. And one more thing that I just want to add to that too, Shibani, is we still have about 10% of our employee base who is in the sites. And that 10% is comprised of, people who don't have, a great spot where they can work from home, or people who don't have internet at all, or who don't have internet speeds that will work for the kind of work that we need to do. And so we've done a ton of work to make sure that we're following up on protocols that are established, and to create safe places for our employees there, with social distancing and PPE, around the building, and just guidelines, so that people have an opportunity to continue working in a place that is respectful of their safety, and a place where they can go. So a lot of work has happened to get us to that point.
It sounds like a major undertaking, Jen, that is out of sort of the realm of what is a normal operation within your organization. How did you manage that? How did you collaborate within your organization? How did that work? And how is it working now, especially with all of these logistics and the remote management of employees and lots of different decision making as well?
From a partnership perspective, this was definitely not something that just, my own team within customer service was able to pull off. We relied really heavily on our partners within our product and technology teams and our engineering teams to ensure that we had the infrastructure and the capacity set up so that all of this would actually work. We've never been in an environment before where we have, 12,000 employees that are logging in from home, and telephony and routing and clear call abilities so that people could continue working. And a lot of the work that we did over those first few weeks was to ensure that that was set up. But, I'll tell you, since then, a lot of the work that we've done is to ensure that our coaches can be in the game still. We had such a close, pod structure and environment in our call centers. And now with everyone being at home, we're really reliant on technologies like WebEx and Slack so that people can stay really connected and that they can have meetings as a team every day. That, if one of our experts is talking to, a customer with additional questions, or if they need additional help, they've got to be able to raise their hand in a virtual environment now so that their coach can come in and provide that assistance. And so we've done a lot of digging into how real time do you manage your staff, and how do you manage a call center when no one is together anymore. And so that's something that we've learned a lot about over the last few months, and that we continue to evolve in our thinking. And the opportunity and the importance of communication, frequent, open communication, is something that has been critical to our success here. And we spend a lot of time as a leadership group sharing, what are things that are working for us in this particular area. And the conversation now, instead of having a conversation to say, how are you, how are your stats today, how's your training going, do you need any help, we're starting to change that up a little bit and say, well, how are you? Like, how are you doing at home right now? How is your physical health? How's your mental health? How are you doing? And I feel like it's been hard, but it's brought people closer together during this time. And I hope that's something that we all learn out of this, that we continue to do.
Absolutely. And that is a trend that we're hearing all across corporate America, Jen, is they're changing communication plans, but also changing what they communicate about to focus really on the well-being of the employee. And we're hearing positive feedback from that. We want to let our audience know we're so happy that you're here. Please chime in with any questions we have. We would love to hear from you and make this applicable and relevant to you and your customer care questions. Jen, what is your plan? You have everybody working remotely. You sanitize 60,000 different components, but eventually, and some people can and can't work from home. At some point, what are your plans for returning employees back to call centers? Do you have a plan, and what does it look like?
That's the $1 million question right now. Is what is the plan? And it's hard to say. There's so much unknown right now about, when will there be a vaccine and when will it be available for everyone, and the safety of our employees and the ability to be there and assist our customers is really of the utmost importance to us. So we've communicated across the customer service organization at T-Mobile that we're going to stay home through the end of the year. We are going to look in January at opening our sites again to more than the 10% that we've got right now. But we want to slowly start to bring people back in once we get to January. We want to make sure that, we don't want to open it up to everybody at once, but as people volunteer and they want to come back in, and we're hearing from some people that they want to, because it can be lonely to be at home, sometimes. And I know that's right. And I know you
We've all
just like
experienced that.
have children at home too. So that's, an added complication that we're all working with right now. But, as people want to come back in, we want to make sure that they can safely do so. But we're going to take our time as we look at doing this. One of the things that we've learned through this is, just this idea of this kind of hybrid model or flexibility in scheduling and location for people. If you and I had a conversation like this a year ago, it would have seemed outlandish to me that we would have moved our whole customer service, workforce into a work from home model. I would have scoffed at that and thought, there's no way we can't be successful there. But we have been, and we are. And so, we've learned so much about, what this flexibility could mean for our frontline and for our working model going forward. And so that's something that we're continuing to evaluate and look at. How do we bring that forward as we start to get people back into our sites?
We have a question here from one of our audience members, Jen, and he's asking, Juan Pedro is asking, in this new environment, how is healthcare planned for workers within large corporate buildings? And let's make this broader. Like, what protocols will be in place to make things safe? How are you looking at the whole well-being of the employee? You're already starting to do that, already starting to make considerations for health and protocols. How are you thinking about it from a planning perspective?
Of different things that we're looking at. So first is, of course, we require everyone to wear masks while they're in any of our facilities. There's sanitation stations, reminders about social distancing that are everywhere. We've made it really clear, no in-person meetings. We're doing all virtual meetings just to keep people safe and distanced from one another. And I think that that's pretty standard right now for what a lot of companies are doing to keep their workforce safe. But there's some additional things that we've been looking at rolling out over the last several months. We've looked at just some of the challenges that some of our workforce who are parents or caretakers are going through. And, we've opened it up and we've given assistance to help with tutoring or tuition or childcare so that people can continue working. We have incredible benefits and partnerships for people who are looking for counseling or additional medical care or help with their finances during this time. And, these are all programs that T-Mobile has historically done an incredible job of rolling out and being there for employees. But, I feel like we've put them on steroids right now, and we're talking about them a lot more so that people understand how to utilize them, and we're enhancing them so that they're relevant and plentiful and available for all employees to use. And that's something that we'll continue doing. We have a task force that my team and I are working on right now across the company on how to create resources and community for some of our parents. And, my child is 100% in virtual school right now, and that creates many challenges on its own. And I know many of you on the call are in that same place, and many of our frontline employees are in that place too. And so we're creating a sense of community and sharing tips and best practices for how to help one another during this time. So I don't think that we can possibly lean into this enough right now. So I love the work that's happening.
It certainly sounds like it, and that community aspect is so crucial on so many levels right now here, Jen, and T-Mobile is doing it on so many fronts, and it sounds like it's having great impact on the customer care approach as well. Jen Cambridge, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. It was really a pleasure. Thank you to everyone for joining us as well. Please click on the stage button to the left to return to the main stage for the next session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm your host, Shibani Joshi. It is great to have you here today. Have a wonderful day.